everybody. It's Terry Talks. So let's get talking. I want to talk about today a movie that was so very impactful on my life at the age of 14 or 15. And I'm going to just discuss some of the key points and why to this very day I don't think I can watch the whole movie. So a little backdrop. I was a teenager in the 80s. Had watched all the movies. I was a movie head from the onset of VCR movies you could rent. So I loved all those classics. Pretty in Pink, 16 Candles. What else was there? Any John Hughes movies. Any kind of like edgy teen movies. Any kind of movies that portrayed like teenage life. Because in the 80s I was a teenager, but like the early 80s I wanted to be a teenager. In the early 80s I was like 10 and 11, but so like the later 80s I was a teenager. And this movie was one of the movies that impacted me so greatly that, like I said previous, I'm trying to find so I can read you guys a description of it. I wanted to put a video clip in here, but I don't think I'm well versed enough to put a video clip in here yet because I don't want to get, I guess, a trademark violation. I don't want to get sued. I don't know anything about this. I'm still working on it. I'm a work in progress. I'm trying to learn how to edit. I'm trying to learn how to put video clips in there. So the movie that impacted me, I'm telling you, this movie, there was a campaign when I was growing up called Say No to Drugs. First Lady Nancy Reagan was like really doing the rounds. I was like, oh, this is how we're going to keep people off drugs. We're going to launch a campaign and have cool people say no to drugs and be a part of this campaign. Have Nancy Reagan appear on TV shows to get the message out. So, and I never was curious about drugs. Like I knew what they were and things like that, but I never was curious, like I gotta get me, smoke me a joint or anything like that. And I never was like even presented with it. So I don't think I ever had any like temptations or anything like that with using a controlled substance of any kind. Maybe, I don't think I was ever even offered a cigarette when I was growing up. Well, maybe I was, but in the end, I can't remember. But anyway, this movie I'm going to talk about, it is called Less Than Zero. It came out in 1987. It stars Andrew McCarthy, Jamie Gertz, and Robert Downey Jr., and my guy James Spader. You guys may know him from Blacklist, but he's done a ton of movies. He was really big in the 80s. So, this movie was about a group of 3 friends who went to high school together, blah, blah, blah. Let me just read it to you. So, Less Than Zero, this is according to Wikipedia. Less Than Zero is a 1987 American drama film directed by Marie Kanaleska. I probably screwed that name up, sorry. Loosely based on the 1985 novel of the same name by Bret Easton Ellison. The film stars Andrew McCarthy as Clay, a college freshman returning home for Christmas to spend time with his ex-girlfriend Blair, played by Jamie Gertz, and his friend Julian, played by Robert Downey Jr., who is also a drug addict. The film presents a look at the culture of wealthy, decadent youth in Los Angeles. Now, that gives a summation of what it's about, and then they go on to kind of get a plot away. Warning, spoiler alerts. If you have not seen the movie, I'm sorry. I should have said that beforehand, but I actually didn't give anything away. But now, you get it. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alerts. So, here's a little bit of the plot. Clay Easton is a straight-laced college freshman on the East Coast of the United States who returns home to Los Angeles for Christmas to find things very different from the way he left them. His high school girlfriend and now model Blair has become addicted to cocaine and has been having intercourse with Clay's high school best friend Junior Wells. Junior, whose life has gone downhill after his startup record company fell apart, has become a drug addict. He also has been cut off by his family for stealing to support his habit and reduce the homelessness. Julian is being hassled by his dealer, a former classmate named Rip, for a debt of $50,000 that he owes to him. So, all of that together was a lot. When I saw the movie, it had a great soundtrack. I love 80s music, and it had a great soundtrack. So, let me tell you what freaked me out about this movie. So I grew up in the inner city of Chicago. We knew where drugs were, but I was never, none of my family members, none of friends, and I can't remember, I don't think any friends' parents used drugs. So I wasn't like privy to people smoking crack, doing heroin. So I'm not, that's just okay. People do drugs. Doesn't have anything to do with me. So let me adjust my clothes. So I'm watching this movie and I'm like, yeah, 80s good. Oh, this is great. And I'm watching it and this is like my first time understanding what a drug addict is. And Robert Downey Jr., he was big in the 80s too. Also, as you know, Robert Downey Jr., all the Marvel movies and Iron Man and a whole bunch of other good stuff he's been in. It's like this drug addict, and he's young. I don't know what I had in my mind for somebody being a drug addict. But anyway, this guy, and I just remember, as you're younger, you just remember the salacious, bad parts. But he was just looked I don't know, he just looked rough in the movie. Skin sweating all the time and the clothes he wore. I mean, you could tell something was up. So like I said, I'd never seen anybody addicted to cocaine before or whatever. So this is the part that freaked me out. He was indebted to a classmate in this movie. So basically the classmate is a pimp, pimping him out because he is addicted to drugs and that's how he's paying off his debt. Huh? Mind you, this is 1987, and I had no idea the lengths people went to for drugs. So watching this movie, I'm like, did Robert Downey Jr. just go in this room with this man? And it looked kind of funny. So number one, that whole thing freaked me out. Somebody doing something with their body to pay for drugs. The desire for the drugs is so strong that somebody is doing that. That freaked me out. That freaked me all the way out when I saw that. And I'm like, this is... So it's looking back, because I told you, I could watch pieces of it again, but I don't know if I could watch the thing all the way through. And from what I've heard from people say, the book is worse. It probably gives, movies don't have time to go into great detail. But then the way Robert Downey Jr. in the movie, his character is withdrawing from drugs, and now as an adult, you know what withdrawal looks like. He's vomiting and just clothes, and oh gosh, it just took me. I'm like 15 years old watching this movie. Like, why does he look like that? Is that what drugs do? Then oh my gosh, it's just the whole tone of the movie. You ever watch the movie and it's just really dark, and the whole tone of the movie is just, for a 15-year-old and not having an understanding of what a drug addict is, and seeing this person on the screen and the things he's doing, I'm like, and then they keep showing the withdrawals and the way he looks. I don't know. And from what I hear, Robert Downey Jr. at the time actually had a drug problem. So this might have been closer to reality than him just playing a role. So Robert Downey Jr. did such a good job in that movie. Woo, sorry. But yeah, so this movie just freaked me all the way out. And then, like I said, again, spoiler alerts. They finally get him out of there. They're escaping Andrew McCarthy and Jamie Gertz, who played a former couple, working together to try to get him clean. And so they finally get away, and they're driving, and they think they're past it. They've gotten away from the drug dealing and all this other stuff. And then they're driving in silence, and then all of a sudden Robert Downey Jr. fall to the side. And, Andrew McCarthy's like, okay, stop. He died like that. He just leaned over and died. Now, I'm not knowing anything about drugs again. I keep saying that. I know I do. At the age of 15. To see somebody overdose and die being young, I'm only 15. I'm thinking, they're young, dying from drugs? What is this? So, every time, you know how on Facebook they say, what's the things that's most traumatizing to you as a child, or movie as a teenager? I always say Less Than Zero. Always. Like I said, to this day, I cannot watch it. I can watch probably bits and pieces because I'm fully knowing what's going on now, so I can watch it. But I think I never had a desire to do drugs, but I think that movie solidified my abstinence from doing drugs. I just pictured the man doing that with the other man and selling his body for drugs, and I think that's the most disturbing part of the movie to me. It was him doing the man, and oh gosh, and then him just walking in the movie like that. No, I never knew what people went through with drugs. That was real enough for me. That was enough for me to say, nah, I don't think I want to do drugs. Now, there are worse depictions that are out now of people using drugs and drug users, but I was 15 at the time. I've seen worse since then, but it's not impacted me like Less Than Zero. I think I've seen Train Spotting, other movies with drugs. The only one that gave me the same feeling, and a lot of people might be able to relate to this, is Dead Presidents. When Chris Tucker had, spoiler alert, I don't know who hasn't seen Dead Presidents, but spoiler alert, I'm giving you a chance to get out of the room, cover your ears or what. when Chris Tucker, after they robbed that bank, and they went to the house looking for him, or whoever found him, I can't remember. And he had that needle stuck in his arm, and he was dead, and his eyes was clouded over. That is the same shock that I felt. That comes pretty close to the shock I felt when I saw Less Than Zero. I think that could have been used in schools as a deterrent. I really do. I think, yeah, just seeing somebody in the throes of, there's certain things in our lives that trigger us. Like somebody's like, well, I won't eat food I won't eat that certain food because I associate it with this, or it's something that triggers you. And that movie was very, very triggering to me. And like I said, it's been on TV before. I've never rented it when I got older. I watched a little bit of it when it was on TV, maybe a year or so ago. Just a little bit of it. I don't know what scene I jumped in on, but I thought, hey, I still can't. I really can't. And even after that, I've never been asked to do drugs or offered to me. I've never been somewhere where there's cocaine on the table, there's some needles, there's some crack rock, or even marijuana. I've never done that. I didn't, even if I had wanted to do it when I was younger after seeing that movie. And then even in the 70s, for us 70s babies, I don't know if you all remember, angel dust was like a big thing, like drugs, like angel dust. And I remember there was actually a song by Gil Scott-Heron, I think, called, it said Angel Dust. Please excuse my singing, but it was that. And then there was this other movie in the 70s, and I don't know how I missed this movie in the 70s, that probably if I had seen that when I was younger, would have also been a deterrent. It's called A Hero Ain't Nothing But a Sandwich. This boy had to only be about 11 or 12, maybe 13 years old, and he was on drugs. I mean, he was out there bad on drugs. I saw that too. That was on Par, but I actually didn't see that movie until I was an adult. And I don't know how I missed it, but I remember my husband saying to me, all these sad movies, what do you... I love movies. I really do. I used to work at Blockbuster, so I've seen tons and tons of movies. So I like to kind of incorporate that into this too. Like I want to do a top 10 just of my favorite movies. But I just wanted to come on here and just talk about that movie. I know it's out of left field, but I just I might have seen a thumbnail on YouTube or something that made me bring it to mind, but yeah. So that was just my little quirky video for today. So like, subscribe, leave comments, and I will see you back here another day. Lord willing. Bye.